Doing a Poison Ivy cosplay. So Comic-Con London October is literally like slowly creeping in. Yeah, if you're watching this in the future, there's a thing going on at the moment called the coronavirus. I don't know if you've heard of it, but that just means everything that I was supposed to do this year just didn't happen. I had Comic-Con Birmingham cancelled, and obviously now that it's October and coronavirus is still here, I can't go to the convention because it's a major safety hazard and I don't want to be catching corona. I started filming this video like a really long time ago, so I kind of want to like sit here and just walk you through everything that I was sort of doing and like my mindset at the time, because there's a lot of things that I actually did in this cosplay that I said at the very beginning that I didn't end up doing right at the end. But as you can probably see, that a lot has like changed. For example, my hair. Speaking of my hair, please don't look at it in this entirety of the video. In fact, don't even look at my appearance in this video because but yeah, I'll get on with the video and I'll jump in whenever. I've been playing the Arkham games recently and I love Poison Ivy, so I've decided to cosplay as her. But like with my Perdita cosplay, if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave it up here. But basically my Perdita cosplay kind of was, obviously I was cosplaying as a dog, so to bring it into a humanoid version I would have had to do something, but I didn't have to go with like the but I didn't have to go with the vintage aesthetic. I'm doing that again. I don't know why, I just love it. So I started to look for patterns and stuff, and then I found one and it's actually a vintage pattern. It's this one right here, and I photoshopped it so it looks green. This pattern was like everything that I wanted in this dress. It was like £20 and I had never worked with patterns before, so it really like discouraged me. I mean, £20 for the pattern wasn't the kicker. It was the fact that it was £20 for me not know how to use something. Vintage patterns are meant to be more difficult. Like apparently their instructions just aren't as clear. So I didn't want to be a complete beginner and try to use a pattern that's meant to be more difficult than ones that they release now. Like that don't make sense to me. So I just thought I'm better off drafting my own pattern or figuring out how to, you know, make the dress the way I want it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draft the pattern for the gloves. I ordered the fabric for my gloves. That hasn't arrived yet, but I can't stop thinking about doing this cosplay. So I started drafting the pattern just on a bit of paper, just traced my hand out, and then I'd come up with a genius idea. These are basically going to be like little covers on my fingers so I can actually peel back the fabric and then use my phone, because obviously it's a day out. We're going to be taking lots of photos of other people cosplaying, probably following people on Instagram, you know, taking selfies non-stop. I don't know if I am going to do it for this finger as well, but I definitely know I'm going to do it for the thumb. So you can get like the kinetic thread or conductive thread. When I was doing my research on it, it looks a bit weird, especially where you get them and they're like silver and gold, and having a random dot on my thumb wouldn't be that appealing to me personally anyway. Either it's going to work or I'm gonna cry. I'd never made gloves before, so I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos and it was more or less people just tracing the outline of the hand, adding seam allowance, all of that jazz, and sewing up. It was easy enough, right? Apparently not. I ended up making my gloves, do not ask me how, like way too small for my hands. I couldn't even get my pinky finger through, so I ended up having to make another pair. They fit kind of okay. I didn't hem the tops because I knew that like this fabric would kind of roll, but I feel like I should have made them longer, like to here. And the thumb thing works really well. Yeah, I do have to sew a little bit because clearly my thumb is not this long. I did all of this with my thumbs and whatnot only to realise that my fingers still work when I'm using the phone. So look how bad that looks. So definitely coming towards the next con I'm going to, whenever the hell that is, I'll be making myself another pair that fit up here rather than just below the elbow. So I finally was able to pick the fabric. It's just a basic like heavyweight cotton. It was a cheaper option, and I wasn't gonna stress myself out by working with satin fabric. So what I ended up doing for like the body, I had like an old bed sheet, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna throw this out. It was covered in blue hair dye. I decided to wrap that around me like once or twice, and then I got loads of duct tape and I just sort of taped myself up. There was probably an actual official way to do this sort of thing, but I just wasn't aware of that, nor did I really care. I got James to help me, and eventually we just started marking out where I feel like the lines needed to be, just so that it would fit much nicer. Because it was so tight, cutting it off was genuinely one of the most insane moments of my life. Legitimate hell. Legitimate hell. Like, we've got building works going on next door, which is great. I kept stabbing myself. Then I asked James to help me. He started stabbing me. I don't recommend. And I think as well what it was, I wore like a little bralette sort of top that I didn't want to cut. So the next time when I do something like this, I'm making sure that it's just a regular little Primark t-shirt that I won't cry if I ended up cutting up. And then eventually I just cut it out and started sewing the leaves on. That was an easy enough process, but when I tell you I severely underestimated how many leaves I needed, you'll better believe it. I think I ordered leaves 3 to 4 times, and the final time I bought like 12 feet of 6 ivy leaf stems. So like 1, 2, 3. I remember once I actually opened like the biggest bunch of ivy leaves that I got, and they just stank of fish. They smell like fish. But I just took my time and I just started sewing away. I was quite proud of myself. Like, I managed to sew like all the pieces together, and at one point when I ended up sewing like all the bodice parts, I even attempted to do top stitching, which is something I had never done before, and it was a little bit tricky because obviously the leaves are like plasticky. They wouldn't want to sit straight, they wouldn't want to stay put if I put pins in them, and as well I didn't want to put too many pins in them because it would end up making holes. But I ended up doing it anyway, and it actually looked like quite nice. I was quite proud of myself, and I got cocky, so I decided to top stitch like the bodice area, and it actually went quite well. But I just didn't take into consideration that eventually I might actually have to take the dress in. But we move. I then decided that I actually hated the skirt that I made. So when I made the skirt, I laid down the green fabric, laid myself down on top of it, traced out my body, because like I said, I wanted the body to be like form-fitting. I'll leave like a little clip of what it looks like. I mean, the shape was there and I was intending to cover it up with leaves, but it was a bit difficult to walk in. So then I decided, you know what, let me get like a really nice flowy fabric. So I ordered, I believe it was 10 meters of like this slightly duochrome organza fabric, but it was a lot. I couldn't believe like how much fabric it actually was. Like, I laid it out all across my uni room. So I was thinking, Jesus Christ, how am I actually gonna do this? So what I ended up doing to bunch it all together so it was a bit more manageable, I sewed the 2 ends together so I didn't have to worry about, oh, you know, like, this is a lot. And then what I ended up doing, I ended up gathering one side. I did the method where you just did 2 lines of stitching, one line being the looser stitch than the other, and I pulled that through to just gather it really nicely. It did take me a while to actually gather it because it was a lot of fabric, and obviously I wanted it to try and be as equal as possible while also fitting around my body. And eventually it did fit around my body. It was so long. Like, in the end I actually had to cut around 20 inches off, so I had a lot of spare fabric. So once I did that, I was like, okay, cool, this is brilliant, this is perfect, let me sew that to the bodice. And once I did, it completely changed how the dress was actually going to come out. Like I said, I still wanted to be form-fitting, but the bottom being a bit flowy. It just ended up being so bulky at the bottom, but then I kind of liked it because it looked like a ball gown. As I was sewing that on, I don't understand how, I didn't have an extra pin in there or anything, I managed to bend my needle. So I was just sewing and I freaking I was almost at the end of sewing this together, and then that happens. Now, If you're anything like me when it comes to sewing, zips are your... Zips are one of the single most annoying things for me. At first, I was like zooming away. I was like, I know how to do this now. But then I realised I ended up sewing the two pieces together a bit too tightly. So it was taking forever for this to come out. And then on top of that, I didn't end up sewing in the first place. Like, the thread had broken well into me trying to sew, so that was brilliant. I realised I had like my tension way too high when I wanted to sew, and that just made it like a billion times more difficult. But eventually I did get there. The zip does not look nice at all. Do not expect anything nice when it comes to me and zips, but it was functioning. And that is all I needed. When I tried it all on, it was fitting me exactly how like I imagined it to, and I was getting really excited. Coming along really well. I love it. I tried it on. I'll put that here. I feel like I should have stopped here because it genuinely looked so nice. I had like these triangular points and it kind of reminded me of Sleeping Beauty, which is a cosplay I will be doing soon. I'm really bitter that I didn't stop. I tried to add more triangular points basically, and it just didn't end up looking like that, so kind of sucks, but hey, you live and you learn. And this is like my third time I've ever worked with like a hot glue gun before. The amount of times I have burnt my fingers, oh my god. Yeah, I found out a way that really works with hot glue and this outfit, because the first time I tried it the leaves had fallen off. I'll put glue on the back of the leaf in like a zigzag pattern. I'll pop it down on the fabric where I want it to go, and then slip my hand underneath through the top of the dress and push it up against my hand on top to just gently pat the leaf together. Just in case there's too much glue though, I don't like pat it down hard or like stick my hand onto it hard, because you know it burns. But yeah, that's where I am with that so far, and that's just what seems to be working, and so far I think it looks really good. I just stuck loads of leaves all over at the bottom of the dress as well. I had it so it was almost like an ombre effect but with leaves. You can also see like my legs and stuff through the fabric. It was cute or whatever. I did have a problem with the organza fabric though. It just kept fraying like disgustingly at the bottom, so I ended up getting this thing called fray edge. I heard you can use like clear nail polish as like an alternative, but I didn't have that, and I was like, you know what, I might as well just get like this fray edge, whatever you call it, and it worked really well. I literally would just like layer it on right at the edge and then wait for it to dry, which like, it's not the most tiring thing in the world, is it? This is wonky. Yes. Ooh. Better? Better. So today I've just spent my time styling my wig. I've actually had curlers in the hair for 2-3 days at this point. But today I thought I was going to get into cosplay to make a few TikToks, but I changed my mind. So I basically just brushed out all the curls and sprayed it with a whole bunch of hairspray, put some of this in to make it look nice, brushed it out. It's just like a vintage hairstyle with like the waves, you know. So far it's looking really nice. I like this shape that we've got going on here, but if it's not perfect then that's not the end of the world. But I also made 2 of these hair clips to put in the hair. It was really easy. It's literally just 2 bobby pins hot glued to the back of leaves, and the leaves are different in size, so it adds a bit of something. I don't know what it adds, but it adds something. But because I brushed it out, obviously I don't want the curls to fall, so that's why I've got it wrapped up in some scrap fabric. Yeah, you can kind of see it's got a nice shine to it, and yeah. I also tested the makeup that I was going to do. I've tried about 12 different eyeshadow looks and I didn't like a single one, but I'll leave a clip here showing the makeup. That's where I am! I'm so excited to see this all come together, even though I don't know when I'm going to get to wear it, but either way, I'm going to wear it to a con and I'm going to love it. Why? I never swear in my videos. Why did I do that? And in true fashion, I forgot to take full-length photos of my costume. I'd be a liar to say that like I don't have any cosplay photos of this costume in particular, like at all. Here they are, and I love them. I love them so much. The only problem is, and I'm not gonna fix it until there is an actual con coming up, I've lost so much weight recently that I don't fit into the cosplay properly anymore. I can take photos from here up, but from there down, nah. It ain't happening. Love it. If there's anything that I would do to like reflect back on the cosplay progress, I wouldn't gather the skirt. I'd probably actually cut out pieces and sew them all together so there's that really elegant flow to it. Well, I'm going to redo the gloves anyway, and I would probably do like an actual lining and interfacing going on just so there's more structure in the bodice. But I'm also kind of glad that I haven't done that, considering the fact that I am going to have to take this in because of my weight loss. And there's another thing that I'm going to note as well, is that I didn't think of what I was going to do for like the shoe department. And originally I thought of doing like a long dress because you wouldn't be able to see the shoes that I wear. I always pack like an extra pair of shoes to a con just in case I get like really uncomfortable. But what I've considered is buying these shoes off of eBay, and I'm just going to get some like green fabric dye and dye them green, and I'm going to wear green tights, and I'm probably going to make like little green booty shorts because obviously the fabric is see-through, so I don't want my whole ass hanging out. So but that's where I am at with the cosplay. So technically the cosplay's not finished, but it's finished. There's probably a whole bunch of stuff that I've actually left out of this video, but on Twitter, if you have Twitter, follow me here, I usually make cosplay threads. I'll post my progress, any thoughts that I have or whatever. If I have missed something out, it will be there. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this journey. I would say I hope you've learned something, but I don't know if any of this can be considered educational because I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I do hope you enjoyed it though. We'll see you in the next one because I've got a few lined up.